This program is supported by San Juan Health Partners Urology, providing a wide range of personalized services for the whole family, including children. Our caring professionals are dedicated to helping meet your urology health needs with skill, experience, and service you need. For a complete listing of our services and to learn more, visit sanjuanhealthpartners.com or call 505-609-6300. San Juan Health Partners Urology, a division of San Juan Regional Medical Center. (8:35) KSJE. It is 32 degrees outside our studios here at San Juan College. Winds are out of the west-southwest, 9 miles per hour. And our weather forecast for our viewers who are watching us this morning on Facebook at YouTube. You can see the sunrise over San Juan College, but the weather forecast is calling for a cooler day today. Mostly sunny skies, 51 for a high today. Clear overnight and a low of 18. Just talking about having to drain sprinklers maybe with temperatures this low overnight. 50 tomorrow, mid-50s Saturday and Sunday. Overnight lows again mid-20s. But take a look at Monday. Cooler yet. High of only 42 on Monday and an overnight low of 19 degrees. I'm Scott Michlin. My guest on the radio this morning, Warren Unsicker, is here. He is the new Economic Development Director with the City of Farmington and former Economic Development Executive Director at Four Corners Economic Development. Mr. Unsicker, thanks for being here.
Thank you. And all these overnight temperatures are making me feel right at home, having been from Alaska.
I was going to say, right.
A nice fall afternoon.
That's true. 18 degrees, right? Yes. But it got much colder in Alaska.
Just a bit, yeah.
Than what we usually get here, which I'm sure you found to be hopefully a nice change.
Yes, it's been very nice, and having all four seasons too. I have to say the fall colors of this.
Right,
we live
beautiful.
Right along Southside River Road there, and it was just gorgeous with all the trees along that area.
Very nice. Well, yeah, it has been a great year, but the seasons are changing as the weather forecast indicates,
and
so
hopefully with more rain and more snow and more.
We would love that this winter.
Accumulation.
That's right, because we definitely need to replenish a little bit from last summer. That is for sure. Well, we're back, and we want to talk a little bit about another rule that is being proposed for the oil and gas industry, and have you explain it just a bit to us of why this is being talked about and why it's important, I guess, for folks to understand it, and certainly there's opposition to it. So,
right,
what are we talking about?
So this is, and it's a confusing name because most people don't associate it with oil and gas, but it's called a pool rule.
Okay.
And what we're talking about is the Blanco Mesa Verde gas deposit, the pool they call it, in the San Juan Basin and the Rio Arriba County as well. And
so this is mostly gas, not oil.
It depends.
Okay.
In this case, it's oil, or it's mostly gas because it's in the our northern part of San Juan County and Rio Arriba.
Okay.
And so this would allow for doubling the amount of wells that can be operational within a certain pool, essentially. And so right now, within a 320-acre area, there can only be 4 active wells in that area. And what they're trying to do is increase that number to 8. And the goal of that being able to go in and recomplete existing wells that have been shut down or sidebarred as a part of what ConocoPhillips and others were doing when Hillcorp acquired all the assets they've acquired in our area here.
Right.
And right now they're already able to do a lot of this, but every time they do, they have to go and get a variance, essentially, and go get permission from the Oil Conservation Commission. And so basically, they're just kind of removing the middle man or woman of that process and saying, "Hey, look, we're doing this anyway. Why don't we just amend this rule hasn't been changed in decades to meet the new standards that we have? Because they can utilize these old wells and access gas by drilling underground, and it allows for less fracking, less process on the above ground level and more of just work underground. And so we're trying to help push for approval of that. It's being heard by the Oil Conservation Committee on November 19th out in Santa Fe. And so we're encouraging people to send letters. The city of Farmington is putting a resolution forth on Tuesday evening on the 13th. The county is also putting forth a resolution. And I'm trying to just basically put forth that, like, look, this is a thing that will positively affect the amount of work that's being done out in this area. It could create more jobs, definitely create more revenue for the area and more work. So I mean, there's a lot of benefit that could come from it.
Right.
And so that's the goal of this pool rule, is to try and increase that capability in a more efficient manner.
I see. But I imagine there are folks on the other side who would say this just increases the density, I guess, of oil and gas operations, and it doesn't put, if it's just a blanket rule that allows this, and there's no, I guess, stopping it or no regulation to say, well, maybe this pool doesn't need to be done in this particular area, or maybe that's the concern from folks. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. And so, but again, you're looking at a 320-acre area that's allowing 4 wells, and now it's basically going to 8. I mean, that's a huge swath of land that you're talking about a few wells on. And likewise, these are, again, recompletes for the most part, so that allows for less impact on an environmental perspective. And so that is far more, I think, environmentally sound than going and drilling new wells.
Right.
And, just redoing and fracking and, basically stirring things up
all
over again.
And this has been proposed by Hillcorp, right? And they are now the biggest oil and gas player in this basin.
It's absolutely correct.
With all their acquisitions and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, so I imagine this will be a little contentious, because things like this usually are. But as you mentioned, it's the Oil Conservation Commission that is talking about this and taking comments about this?
Yes, exactly. And so they're, again, we're going to be voting on that on the 19th out in Santa Fe. And so we're encouraging people to send in letters and just make comment and speak to the fact this is beneficial to our region and could create jobs in an already, kind of down economy in that regard, with the recent changes in how people do oil and gas and how more efficient and technologically savvy they are. It makes it to where there just aren't as many jobs around natural gas and oil as there used to be.
Right.
And so the more activity we can create, the better. And so that's the hope and the goal of that there. So.
Okay. Before we run out of time this morning, Mr. Unsicker, I want to ask you a little bit about politics again, about the midterm elections. And, just that we have a new governor who will be taking office in January. We have a Democrat-controlled legislature and a Democrat governor. And so this is a Republican-dominated county.
Sure.
And so I think a lot of folks may be concerned about what that may mean with a new governor in office and her policies toward energy and San Juan County. Mrs. Lujan Grisham has mentioned, I think, all the time that she would like to see more renewable energy from our state. And, is this an opportunity or a challenge, I guess, in your eyes?
It's a mixed bag. Let's put it that way. But I do think that we have an opportunity to start off on a positive foot in terms of working collaboratively with the governor's office to find out ways in which we can work towards a amicable future. Because we all know that she has aspirations of certain things. I think she came up and spoke to San Juan County to the regard of all the aspirations she has for us becoming a renewable energy hub, essentially.
And to her credit, she did campaign here several times during the course of the election. So hopefully she heard from folks of what their concerns were.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I believe she went in so far to even say that, look, we want to retrain these people into the renewable industry, and we'll even pay, wages while we upskill them to these new career paths. And if that's the case, then we have room to talk at that point.
That is a valid economic development proposal in your eyes?
I would think so. I mean, really what keeps, I think, rising to the top of a major concern is the lack of any kind of transition plan. When people talk about just pulling the plug on fossil fuels, it's just a knock out the one and prop up the other, but with very little consideration of what to do with the people and the families that are going to be affected by that.
Right, sure.
And so that's something that we desperately want to make sure that they're aware of, and that we have been over the past year and a half with the IRP with PNM. It's been abundantly clear to anyone that has come and set foot in San Juan County of what the impacts are going to be if and when the plant closes. That
integrated resource plan that they had to come up with about moving away or getting rid of entirely coal-fired produced energy for PNM.
Exactly. So, but again, if the governor's office and industry and partners in the area are willing to come up with a way to create, say, future energy park, research park, or something that is creating new jobs that put to work the people that are potentially going to be displaced at comparable pay scales and things to that effect, then again, we have room for conversation and for planning potentially to figure out what the future looks like up
Sure.
here. So that's the hope, is that we can start building that positive relationship and figure out what that glide path might look like, and likewise if there's ways to continue to operate in our current forms. So.
Sure. Some legislation maybe about some kind of state incentives for a solar development here in San Juan County that uses our transmission lines or something like that, that
perhaps,
would
yeah.
maybe not replace the jobs one-to-one, but certainly could help with the property tax base and things along that line if other things are going offline.
Right. Well, and again, yeah. So solar is not a one and done fix.
No one elected me, but that's my idea.
Yeah, no, and that's the biggest trouble we face is, like, say, the
Yes.
jobs factor is just not there.
Right.
And people tout that more renewable jobs in the nation than ever, but unfortunately they're not centralized around the fields.
Right.
They're in the manufacturing field, they're in the R&D, they're in the other pieces of the puzzle, and they're in construction.
The manufacturing and the temporary, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so as far as permanent, localized jobs, they just aren't there around solar, unless we are talking about, again, a production facility or some way of researching and developing new technologies to produce energy beyond just solar, even.
Right.
And even utilizing coal in different ways that isn't as impactful as releasing it into the air from a burning perspective.
Okay.
Because there's other considerations of how to utilize coal even. So I think that, again, there's room. We just have to be collaborative, and we have to make sure they aren't just plowing forward with a plan that they've come up with in a vacuum.
Sure.
And so.
But I would think there are things that the state can do from the state level with incentives or other types of economic development grants or what have you to help communities like this one, maybe
Absolutely.
we're not the only one, to move forward and to try to identify a path to what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if they really want to put New Mexico on the map, our area on the map, and be proactive and progressive, come up with strategies for which to create cleaner energy while not dissipating these jobs. If we could become a test bed for figuring out how to not just pull the rug out from under things like coal and natural gas and oil, but become a kind of a test bed for future focus around energy in general, we could be affecting things far beyond the state of New Mexico, as opposed to just saying, hey, yeah, we've shut down all the coal plants in our boundary line.
Right.
Congratulations. That's only like 1 or 2 or 3 for compared to the hundreds in China and in India and in other places. But if we could be working towards technologies that clean up those or figure out ways to utilize that coal differently, we could be affecting a much broader scale.
A better story would be we've shut down these power plants, but we've also found jobs for all these families and people that were left jobless because of that, and the community is thriving.
Precisely. Yeah, that would be a far better story headline than...
Yeah, I would love to hear that story.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. We have 4 years.
Yes.
Mr. Unsicker, always a pleasure.
Hey, pleasure as well, and look forward to continuing to chat with you here. So.
All right. We'll see you again next month. Warren Unsicker, he is the new Economic Development Director with the City of Farmington, my guest here on KSJE. Back with more in just a moment when we check on the markets and the economy after the midterm elections. That's coming up next right here on KSJE.